Hello, everybody. Welcome to High Vibe Times with Ashley and Teresa. Raw and unfiltered, not law, raw and unfiltered. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good, trying to keep from getting blown away.
hmm
But yeah,
Same
I'm
here.
doing pretty good.
It's
Yeah.
warm. It's so warm here right now, but unusually warm. But yes, we're
Mhm.
getting winds too. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, y'all. So what we're going to talk about today is how to find a practitioner or someone you want to work with, how to pick that sort of, what things to look for, or maybe to be aware of when you are choosing someone to work with. And um, so just real quick, and I don't know that we've talked about this ever maybe, but what things do you offer to people, Teresa?
Well, I am a life coach that am certified in EFT, which is emotional freedom technique. I am also an oracle card reader. I consider myself a medium and a channeler, and I'm also a sound healer.
Ah, yeah, see those bowls back there, y'all? She can play them. Oh, goodness. And I'm also a transformation coach. Teresa and I actually went through the same program together. That's how we met. I am a yoga instructor as well. In my coaching practice, I also use EFT and meditation and journaling. And I consider myself a channeler, maybe a medium. I don't know if I'd put myself in that category quite yet, but at least a channeler. And although I don't offer those services, I do card readings for my clients. Like if I have a one-on-one session, I do pull cards. But again, I don't do that either, as far as the service that I provide. So I just want to make clear that everybody sort of what we do and sort of where our perspective is coming from. Um, so I think let's start with what are your tips to trying to find someone, say you want to find you're struggling with something and you want to find someone who can discuss with people that have crossed over. How would how do you go about that? What are your tips for that?
Well, I first off think that doing your research or kind of, looking into the background or maybe some people that that person has worked with. But when you first said that, when you first made that statement, the very first thing that comes into my mind is that you have to go with your instinct. Does who you're talking to, does it feel comfortable? Does it, or do you feel like you're in a safe space? Do you, those kind of, as you was talking and getting ready to ask this question, the thought that came to my mind was it comes down to the same thing when you're trying to pick a deck of cards, like we've talked about, or crystals or something. You really need to feel into what your gut and what I would say your higher self is trying to tell you, or in which direction it's trying to guide you.
Mhm.
And other than as far as picking someone, for me, it comes down to that. Where I feel good with, or maybe some good feedback that I have heard from, people about that person.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, word of mouth is big.
mhm.
It's very important. I mean, not important, but it's if you have someone in your life that has seen a medium or even a coach or really anybody, I mean, the word of mouth, the opinions of the people that you're around that you value, whether it's from a restaurant review or, suggestion for a restaurant to someone who can talk to someone from the other side. Also, with that note, however, is if you one of my suggestions I just jotted down was if you find somebody that you think, or if somebody recommends somebody, go online, see if they have any Facebook groups or Instagrams or YouTubes or whatever. See if they're on there and see what they're sharing. See how they word things. Are they negative or are they positive? Is it always things like, um, I can guarantee
Mm.
something. That's a red flag to me, in my opinion. That's a
Mhm.
red flag. Anytime somebody wants to guarantee, if you've got that gut feeling that it's too good to be true, it probably is. It probably is.
Yeah.
So, that kind of thing. But go online and see if you can find something of theirs just to hear how they speak, how they tune in, um, if you've said, oh yeah, both of my grandparents, all my grandparents are still alive, and this person still is talking to this, person they're reading. Oh no, it's a grandparent. Our grandparents passed, but you're like, my grandparents have not passed. Like, if they're not hearing,
Hmm.
what you're saying. So just if they have an online presence, try to find that and see if you can get some information that way.
Yeah. And one of the big things that sticks out to me is that myself, and I know everyone that I know in this that's in this field, they will never reach out to you or tell you that you need to do something, or something will go wrong, or I when I think about that type of situation, what I think about is in all areas of fields, there's bad apples in all areas. And so you just want to be sure that someone coming from integrity and a good space is never going to tell you you need to give them more money to solve a problem or to answer a question or anything like that. So that's a real big pet peeve for me. And so I want people to know and understand that people that come from the right space are not going to ask you those type of things.
Right. And, and say, if you have because a lot of, I'm included, for my coaching business, I offer a free 30-minute sit down with whoever wants to be my client, just to know that we are a good match, because not everybody's personalities, not everybody's energy is a match. And so I offer that. And then if you were to sit down with someone for that free session, and then they say, well, it's going to be at least 9 sessions,
Mhm.
or you're going to have to buy, $500 worth of product, whether that's cards or crystals or candles or oils or whatever. To me, in my experience, that is a red flag.
Mhm.
Um, there are a lot of integrity filled practitioners who will probably say to you, yeah, we can work on this. I don't know how many sessions this is going to take. It may be one, or it may be more than one, but let's start here and then let's move forward. To me, that is a better way to do the business side of this practice.
Yeah. Ethically, you
Mm-hmm.
know, feel into the ethics of the person that you're checking into, and yeah, I
And that's
totally.
another thing too. I'm glad you brought that up, because, you know, there's no real, medical fields have FERPA or have HIPAA. Education has FERPA. There's all these different confidentiality things and ethics that a lot of practices and businesses go by. Our field, so to speak, does not have that. It's an individual integrity, individual ethics and value situation. So again, if you go on a Facebook page, or if you watch them do a Facebook or a live or a past video, and they are giving information of past clients, to me, again, that is a red flag.
Yeah.
I just feel like whatever my clients tell me is confidential. And I, of course, have my own coach, and I feel like I can talk to them because I feel like they're integrity field as well. And I know they're not going to run if I have to, um, say something about a client. But yeah, it's a red flag, I think, to me, that if they're talking, and then they may say, oh, I've had a client one time that, then that's a little bit different than
Yeah.
saying, I met with Teresa for 14 sessions and, da 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 da, da, and she's whatever. That's a little different than saying, oh, I worked with a client who had this similar situation, and that's a little different.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you, I don't know, for some reason I feel like I need to say this. If you do have, because like for a reading or something like that, there wouldn't be something where you could sit down and have like a little session like that. But if you come to the end of a session that you've been with someone and you feel more confused or more, you know, disoriented or whatever from after the reading than you do before, that's also a red flag to me, because I personally, and I do readings every Sunday, and I personally have never done a reading where the person felt either confused or worse at the end of the reading.
Mhm.
It in my the way that I do it, I always ask for everything in love and light, and so I think that that's also important as well. I would hate for someone to go into something like that and really wanting to come out having, solid answers, or, feel like that they have moved forward in the situation that they were looking for, and just feel kind of blah about it. Cause I've seen that happen as well, which is the reason why you want to check into them and see, how they operate and what other people are saying about them as well.
Right, right, absolutely. And don't feel like, and I said this, sort of alluded to this earlier, but don't feel like you have to spend a whole lot of money.
Hmm.
There I understand, again, our field is not regulated, so it's on an individual basis. And so what you may charge may be different than what I charge versus what somebody else is charged. And that's our own individual, decision. But just know that just because somebody slapped $1,000 an hour reading, just because they slapped that price tag on it, doesn't make them any better than someone who is doing a reading that's at $10 or $20 or $50. Um, and it's just that they feel like that their hour, or however long their reading is worth that much money. But sorry, Carter, if you hear that, my golden retriever's decided to chime in. He agrees with me on that point, apparently. Um, but there's a lot of practitioners out there with a lot of wonderful gifts, and they're not going to pressure you to buy more. They're not going to pressure you to buy product. They're not going to pressure you for X number of sessions. Um, they're in my again, this is my experience. They're typically positive. They're not negative. They don't go directly to, oh, well, you've been cursed, or we need to work on your shadow side and all this stuff. Do we get to that? I mean, maybe not, but that's not where I go directly to, or at least that's a turn off to me.
Yeah, I agree. One of the things that I wrote down is that I think it's important to remember that, especially if you're going to someone for a medium reading or a card reading or a direction of any kind, that you yourself at that time are not in a desperate state,
Mm.
or a stressful state, because unfortunately there are people out there who will take advantage of that kind of situation. And again, that's something that you want to try to avoid. So, you know, making sure that you're in the right state of mind when seeking out this type of guidance is so important as well.
Absolutely. As grounded as possible, as clear as possible. Yeah, that's truly important. Absolutely. Something popped up and it popped right back out. I'm sure it's going to come back. It's just one of those days. But yeah, I mean, I think you find someone, if you're into cards, find someone that maybe does cards. If you're not, then and somebody is card heavy, then that's not your person. And that's okay. Even, if Teresa sent me to somebody that she just absolutely loved, and I just was like, "Mm," then my gut's telling me, I mean, that's for her, that's not for me, and I got to respect that, and I keep looking. Again, if you don't like crystals and they're crystal focused, then so you've got to figure out what you're interested in, what your needs are, and find someone who when this goes for a lot of things, friendships, relationships, whomever. But if you feel energized after watching them or seeing them or going to your free mini session or whatever, that is a good clue. If you feel drained and, like you said, confused or angry or, all the more negative stuff when you leave, that's probably not the person for you. You need somebody who is willing to listen, and you feel energized and you feel heard after you've left the session.
Guided. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Did you pull a card for us this week?
I did pull a card. I'm so glad you remembered. I pulled it from the Raise Your Vibration, Kyle Gray.
Ooh, mm-hmm.
And it's one that I haven't actually seen in a while. I think I maybe have seen it once. It says, Raise Your Vibration is a mantra that calls me to light up.
Mm.
I thought that was really good.
And that goes in line with finding that person that you feel
Hmm.
that energy, that vibration, that whatever you want to call connection with, to use as your practitioner, whatever you need that practitioner, whether it's a coach or a medium or a psychic or cards or whatever.
Yeah, and I like the part of it that talks about that to light you up. You always want to make sure that it is uplifting and
Mm,
brings you to a better place.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think
Absolutely.
that's important.
Okay, everybody, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to make them down below. And our information is down below for each of our Facebook group. We both have a private Facebook group that we run, and you are more than welcome to join us over there. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week.
Bye.